You're watching Investigation Discovery on Demand.
UFO sightings occur all around the world every single day. Accounts of human contact with aliens, however, are much more rare. But in the United States, one man is more than willing to share his alien nightmare. We met Gary Kroger at his home in Winston, Ohio, where he was making lunch.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, come on in. Just making a quick grilled cheese.
We ended up waiting almost an hour while Gary continuously burnt his grilled cheese sandwiches.
I forgot the cheese.
By the time he'd made a proper one, Gary claimed he was no longer hungry.
I'm not even hungry anymore.
Before he could tell us his story, Gary needed to use the
Quick
restroom.
number one. I'll be out in a flash. Just a number one, all right?
He repeatedly told us it was a number one and would only take a few seconds. After 15 minutes of waiting, we knocked on the door to see if everything was all right. It was clear Gary was taking a bowel movement, but he would not admit it.
Sorry, guys. Just a really long number one.
He claimed to have drank like 15 Sprite remixes that morning. However, a quick internet search revealed that drink was discontinued in 2005. After waiting nearly an hour and changing the camera battery 3 times, we threatened to leave if Gary didn't come out immediately. It should be noted that at this point we had not heard the toilet flush or the faucet run, so we can only assume Gary did not flush his waste or wash his hands. Gary repeatedly denied he had taken a bowel movement, no matter how many times we told him it was okay.
Guys, you're starting to take me off a little bit, all right? You guys weren't in there, all right? If you were in there...
As Gary became increasingly hostile, we again threatened to leave, and he backed down, finally admitting,
Okay, all right, look, I'll be honest. Okay, look, maybe it turned into a number 2, but that's not what it was supposed to be going in. Tell you what, why don't we just start the interview?
After almost 2 hours, Gary finally agreed to start the interview.
So I wake up in the middle of the night, and I go to the toilet, and, it's supposed to be a number 1, but as usual, turns into a number 2. And I'll spare you the violent details, but, it's time to wipe, right? And it usually takes me about 15, 20 minutes to wipe. I didn't want to deal with that night, so I went to bed without wiping. Long story short, I wake up on an alien spaceship. My pants are off. I look up. There are 2 aliens. It sounded. I couldn't understand what they were saying, but it sounded like they were arguing about who was going to probe me. And so they invite 4 other aliens to come in, and they're all arguing. And out of nowhere, one of them takes sticks it right in my brown hole.
At this point, our cameraman cut and refused to continue recording. He was a veteran camera operator who'd been embedded with platoons in multiple war zones, but said this was the first time he was unable to do his job. A few weeks later, I received an email from Gary, where he told me the end of his story. God forgive me for what you have just seen.